जय हिंद, जय भारत एंड वेलकम टू डेफ टॉक्स। दिस इज आदि अचिंत। क्या यार, अभी इसराइल का तो अभी फ्लेवर ऑफ द सीजन है, लेकिन इसराइल में जो जंग हो रही है, जो वॉर हो रही है, इट्स एक्चुअली मूविंग इन डिफरेंट डायरेक्शंस। आपको पता है, डेफ टॉक्स के अंदर हम 3 4 5 एंगल से एक चीज को देखते हैं। सो माय एंगल टुडे टू लुक एट दिस वॉर इज टू सी कि यार, जो भी कह लो, एक जो लेफ्टिस्ट, एंड आई कांट से, अभी हमारा जो फेवरेट डायलॉग है ना, लेफ्टिस्ट लिबरल, वो दोनों साथ में बैठता नहीं है। सो एक जो लेफ्टिस्ट मूवमेंट है दुनिया में, लेड बाय पीपल लाइक सोरोस एंड दिस एंड दैट एंड सो ऑन सो फोर्थ, क्या उनको थोड़ी सी झटका मिला है। और ये चीज जन नारायण ने हमको सैटरडे को थोड़ा सा रेफर किया था। आज विद अरिंदम विल डिग इनटू इट अ लिटिल फर्दर एंड फाइंड आउट ये जो लेफ्टिस्ट इकोसिस्टम है, इसको इस वॉर से क्या डैमेज हुआ है। एंड दिस वॉर गाइज, लुक एट इट एज अ कंटिन्यूएशन फ्रॉम यूक्रेन। सो जो एक मीडिया का जो एक आउटपुट था, जो एक एक पोजीशनिंग थी, जो एक नैरेटिव था, उससे आज आप लोग कहाँ खड़े हैं और किस तरह से लेफ्ट इकोसिस्टम को या तो डैमेज हुआ है या बहुत ज्यादा बढ़ गया है। मेरा कहना है कि डैमेज हुआ है। देखते हैं अरिंदम साहब क्या कहते हैं। उनका कहना है डैमेज हुआ है कि आगे गया है। नमस्कार, गुड आफ्टरनून एंड वेलकम टू द पॉडकास्ट।
Good afternoon, Adi. Good to be here.
सो पहले बताओ यार, ये हैज दिस गॉट डैमेज्ड एज व्हाट आई एम थिंकिंग, कि आप सोचते हो कि भाई साहब, ये तो अभी हम सबको we'll have to use this left as the dominant hand?
Oh, by the way, I'm a lefty. Did I tell you that?
Oh,
Never. I'm a lefty.
chalo,
I'm
you're a
I'm what you
southpaw.
would call, I'm what you would call a quintessential southpaw. I eat, I write, I do everything, almost
चलो
everything.
ठीक है।
My-
तो क्या
Okay,
अभी ये
yeah.
रूल बन जाएगा क्या, सबको लेफ्ट हैंड से काम करना पड़ेगा?
हाँ, मैं सोच रहा हूँ एक विक्टिमहुड कार्ड निकाले कि द एंटायर ब्लडी वर्ल्ड इज मेड फॉर राइट हैंडेड पीपल। हम लोगों को कुछ नहीं मिल रहा है, तो अभी विल प्ले विक्टिम नाउ।
मैं डिजाइन
बहुत
करके भेज।
एकदम हाई टाइम इन द डे वी डिड दैट यार। चाय पे सॉसपैन का हैंडल भी पकड़ो तो दैट इज आल्सो मेड फॉर राइट हैंडेड। दैट रिज ऑफ द एज ऑफ द सॉसपैन व्हिच यू यूज टू pour your milk is for right handed
उल्टा
guys यार।
है।
अपने लिए कुछ सोचता भी नहीं है।
डेमोक्रेसी है
ओके
यार, मेजॉरिटी विंस।
यार, दे intolerant minority always wins as per
हाँ।
Nicholas Nassim Taleb.
So,
All right,
चलो, what
so
do you think, what's happening, where is the left ecosystem?
झटका लगा है यार। बहुत बहुत ही झटका लगा है। And what I find funny is, it's like a kind of a homecoming of wokeism, so to speak. And we all know, right, that United States has got a very strong Israeli lobby. We know that. We accept that. We talk about it. That's wrong. United States has got a very strong Jewish lobby, and there's a difference between the two, which has come out in this war, or which has come out in the events that preceded the war.
Hmm.
Okay, so now what we are going to be talking about, I'm not saying people don't know. There are plenty of sharp people who write in a roundabout way, but there are, and they know probably, and they, for some reason, I don't know, nobody has come out and nobody has discussed this thing. अभी तो मेरे को ऐसे लगता है कि ये जो podcast में we are going to discuss, this is something which has probably never been discussed in any podcast. I don't think, offhand, I cannot recall anybody who's written about it. I'll start with this chota incident that happened. Chota incident, but nahi, ek interesting sa incident which happened. There's this Israeli minister of diaspora in the Netanyahu government. His name is Amichai Chikli. So Chikli is what he is usually known as.
Known
Now
as.
Chikli is your average, typical Israeli Jew. You know, the kind of people that have grown up in Israel, the kind of people that have thrived in a sort of a cutthroat neighborhood like the Middle East. Okay, the Israel that we know, that came into existence, that fought for its existence and things like that, and they won wars after wars after war, and they existed, they thrived. So this Chikli is the sum total of that kind of a Jewish existence. So this guy is a conservative Jew. He is a part of Netanyahu's entourage. He is a part of Netanyahu's ministry. अभी कुछ आई डोंट नो, जनवरी या फरवरी में वो टेल अवीव में वो एलजीबीटी रेनबो पैरेड हुआ था ना एक कुछ. सो दिस गाय कॉल्ड दिस पैरेड, ही सेड दिस इज अ वल्गर थिंग, ये सब करना नहीं चाहिए. Now, United States में Reform Jews बोल के group है. This guy has been very critical about those Reform Jews. फिर उसके बाद जब Netanyahu wanted to overhaul the judiciary, तो government anti-government protest हुआ उसमें as usual George Soros, who incidentally also happens to be a Jew, उसका भी नाम आया. So this guy अपना चिकली was very critical of the anti-government protest. He was very critical of George Soros. He's generally the way any nationalist guy who's got an inkling of an idea about what an identity of a nation state is, the way anybody like that would react, he reacted in that manner. Now, this June May, he goes to United States. He goes to United States और वहां पे मोटा मोटा ठीक ठाक चल रहा था. एक कोई किसी के साथ कोई कॉन्वर्सेशन में वो जूइश लोग के वहां पे all the United States Jews are basically very woke and very democrat. ओके तो वहां पे सामने उसने किसी को बोल दिया कि आई एम नॉट अ वोक. तो ये आया और जो वो बोल दिया, दिस ट्रिगर दैट यूनाइटेड स्टेट अमेरिकन जूश लॉबी इन अ मेजर वे. तो ये लोग ये सब सारे वोक जूइश पूरा बैठ गया. ऑल डेमोक्रेट फैंस, they made him sit down and then they lectured him and they reprimanded him. They told him कि आप जो कर रहे हो, आप जो बोल रहे हो ये खराब है. सोरोस को गाली नहीं देना है, इसको गाली नहीं देना चाहिए, एलजीबीटीक्यू को खराब नहीं बोलना चाहिए, रेनबो पैरेट को खराब नहीं बोलना चाहिए, blah 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 blah. That is when we sort of had a kind of a idea. That is when I sort of had a kind of an idea that बस ये तो मतलब this is something interesting. So yes, there is a major United States में there is a major Jewish lobby, and on the face of it, they do say that we care a lot about Israel, we do this, we do that, falana dhimkana. But actually, when it comes to statecraft, when it comes to maintaining, which is very crucial, maintaining the identity of, and I am all for nation states, if you have noticed, maintaining the identity of a nation state in a region like Middle East. These guys are only about lip service, this US Jewish lobby and nothing else. Chikli learned this, Netanyahu government has learned this. Now the thing is that ye aise hua, if you want to understand ye kaise hua, because see, there are a lot of people who are talking about the events, and there are a lot of people as well in this show. You've got very distinguished guests who have come in this show, and you guys have had extensive discussions and covered the events and all. The way I am, I think मैं थोड़ा कंसेप्ट को लेके बात करूँ तो समझने में आसान तो नहीं, समझ में आएगा कि क्यों ये हो रहा है, जो भी हो रहा है क्यों हो रहा है. एंड आई एम मोर ऑफ अ कंसेप्ट काइंड ऑफ अ गाय, सो इफ यू परमिट मी देन आई कैन गो अहेड. एक आधा एग्जांपल लेंगे तो उसमें ओके, सो उसमें भी क्लियर हो जाएगा. सी द फर्स्ट डेकेड ऑफ 2000 ड्यूरिंग इजराइल पैलेस्टाइन का तो कॉन्फ्लिक्ट चल ही रहा है. ड्यूरिंग द फर्स्ट डेकेड ऑफ 2000 the Israel-Palestine conflict for the first time witnessed the rise of the rise of American Jewish left. Okay, so there was a new wave of Jewish organization that were formed to support Palestinian causes. अभी very simple है, you Wikipedia में जाओगे तो भी तुमको मिल जाएगा. Jewish Voice for Peace, then क्या independent Jewish Voice. They have a office in Canada, they have an office in UK. Then you have Jewish, okay, this is interesting, Jewish anti-Zionist network. Okay, we are Jews, but we are anti-Zionist network. So, okay, there are podcasts, there are medias, there are web pages, there are everything, which are like very American, very Jew, but very, pro-Palestinian and all. Now, 70%, I mean, Wikipedia says that between 75 to 80, 76 to 80% Jews over the last few decades have been voting for the Democrats. 2016 में 71% of the American Jews voted for the Democrats. Okay, now these Jews say that they are attached with Israel, but strangely they are attached to Israel not in the way traditional Israeli Jews are attached to Israel. You've heard of this lady called Susan Sontag. We can talk about Susan Sontag, incidentally related to this topic as well. Susan Sontag ने बोला था कि ट्रेडिशनल व्हाइट मैन जो है उसको सुसाइड करके मर जाना चाहिए. They are like cancer.
Yeah.
So these guys, these Jews attached with the Democrat Jews of United States, they also consider this traditional conservative Israeli Jews, people like Netanyahu, probably they do consider. I'm not sure. Nobody has told me, but I'm sure their outlook towards this guys is like that. That is where you would go back and you would see that, Naftali Bennett comes to power. There is a leftist government that comes to power. There is suddenly a huge, wokeification of all universities of
Military.
Tel Aviv.
Mm.
हाँ मिलिट्री में ट्राई कर रहा है suddenly the bureaucracy, more important, the bureaucracy starts talking about equity and blah 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 and all the stupid shit that
Yeah, yeah.
the progressive in United States talk about.
Mm. Mm.
And this kind of a push came in, not this kind of a push is not organically Israeli. This kind of a push is coming from the Jewish lobby, and whoever this Jewish lobby is back at, and they are basically from United States. Okay, so naturally they are very critical of a conservative government like Netanyahu. They are sympathetic to the Israeli cause. Sorry, to the Palestinian cause.
Palestinian
अभी
cause.
हाँ, now अभी इसका शुरुआत कहाँ से है? बात करें इसका शुरुआत का. Are you there?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure, sure, sure. Shoot.
Okay. अभी एक इंटरेस्टिंग सा चीज है. When I joined my क्या बोलता हूँ? When I joined my first organization, that was back in 97, 98. I joined it was a US multinational company and I joined as a trainer. तो being in training and all, तो तुमको तो बहुत सारा वो सक्सेस लिटरेचर वगैरह वगैरह पढ़ना है. So naturally, this being a US company, I was given a big fat bunch of books कि ये पढ़ो वो पढ़ो. I started reading all this Who Moved My Cheese and Magic of Thinking Big and all those, and they appeared very shallow to me. I could not pinpoint why. Okay, देखो
Doesn't
यार,
make sense.
हाँ, like I have grown up reading the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin. I have grown up reading speeches of Swami Vivekananda. Rishi Aurobindo did not make much sense to me because I was an idiot. So those were those days when he never didn't used to make much sense to me. But yeah, Benjamin Franklin and Vivekananda were good enough for me. तब वहां से जाके मैंने देखा कि यार ये तो बहुत शैलो चीज है, लेकिन उसको पढ़ना है. उसको पढ़ के लोग बोल रहा है यार मेरा पैराडाइम शिफ्ट हो गया, मेरा लाइफ चेंज हो गया, मेरा ये हो गया, मेरा वो हो गया. Somehow it didn't make sense to me. And then a couple of years later in life, when I was going through this book called Seven Habits, incidentally one book which I've liked and I still like, Seven Habits of Stephen Covey. Covey talked about the difference between character ethics and personality ethics, and he said that
Personality ethics.
yeah, personality, he calls it personality tactics. He says that the hardcore, the more down to earth, the more serious things about which are fundamentally important towards building your character, things like fidelity, things like punctuality, things like moral discipline and all, they took a backseat post Second World War, where all these flashy things came in, which basically says that you don't have to change anything inside of you. You don't have to change anything about you. You are great the way you are. You are God's gift to mankind. So just put on this power dress and use some power phrases and get to influence people into getting them to do whatever you like them to do, want them to do. So he says that this shift was a major shift. I started researching a little bit. I found out that in 1946, it all started from there. So you had 1930s where there's this Great Depression and America was in a state of shit, and then you had 1930 end 30, you had this Second World War, and once it ended, Europe was like devastated. So across both ends of Atlantic, these were two countries who were looking at degrees of devastation were different, but they were looking at tough times ahead.
Yeah.
So 46 May, incidentally, there is a gentleman called Rabbi Joshua Liebman. He is a Jew. Wrote a book called Peace of Mind. Now, this is where it starts. Peace of Mind में उसने एक नया morality लाया कि you should not repress. Basically, Peace of Mind का core message is you should not repress any part of yourself, which means you can do whatever you like. Everything is fair. Okay. Now, this was the start point. This was lapped up by the like of Norman Vincent Peale. There's this another gentleman called Harry Overstreet. I'm right now, I haven't gotten into the depth of things. I'm just talking about the popular क्या बोलते हैं, पॉपुलर सक्सेस
concept of,
लिटरेचर।
yeah, yeah.
हाँ, पॉपुलर सक्सेस लिटरेचर जो आम जनता पढ़ते हैं, एकेडेमिया का बात अभी नहीं कर रहा। तो बेंजामिन स्पॉक नाम का एक बंदा था, उसने, ही वाज अ डॉक्टर, ही वाज अ पीडियाट्रिशियन, आई गेस ही रोट अ बुक कॉल्ड बेबी बुक और समथिंग लाइक दैट, जहां पे उसने लिखा कि इफ योर बेबी स्टील्स, यू शुड गिफ्ट इट टू दैट बेबी। whatever your baby is stealing, you please go ahead and gift it to your baby। यहाँ से शुरू हुआ। There is another gentleman by the name of Carl Rogers, अभी तो नाम भी याद नहीं है सब, मतलब sequentially नहीं बोल पाएंगे। Carl Rogers was another corrupt, that book was another corrupted book। His was all about self love। Okay, he posited that
Correct.
that
Hmm.
the human beings are very positive creature, they are very lovable creature, they are very trustworthy creature। I hope you get you get the drift। Okay, the idea was that they looked at this, what I initially thought, that they looked at this devastation that was caused by the war, and they thought maybe, you need to pull up the psyche of people, to thoda bahut isko karte hai।
It was more or less, sorry to interrupt you, I think it was more to do with a lot of guilt that all of these guys felt.
Yeah.
More than anything else, it was kind of a payback to the society, and that's what a lot of people blame wrongly so the creation of Israel as per se. So it was the high
Mm.
बेचारे कोई बात नहीं दे दो यार देखेंगे क्या होता है. It was something like
Mm.
that. A lot of people kind of take that as a narrative, which is not true. But
So that's what I'm saying, that maybe there was, but यहाँ पे भी देखो, फिर भी I'll give a little bit of benefit of doubt when I talk about popular literature, when I talk
हाँ,
about all the success
हम्म,
literature and all। What about academia? वहाँ पे तो गया ही नहीं। एकेडेमिया में क्या हो गया, एकेडेमिया में देयर वाज दिस अगेन एट द सेम टाइम 1945 में, दिस 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 फंडा, दिस फिलोसफी ऑफ रिलेटिविज्म व्हिच केम। नाउ रिलेटिविज्म का, ये तो राजीव मल्होत्रा सर ने स्नेक्स इन द गैंजेस में कल्चरल मार्क्सिज्म को बहुत अच्छी तरह से कवर किया।
जी,
Okay, anybody who's read that book would understand. Where he is not, the part that he is not covered in details would be postmodernism। So he says that there is a point in time when cultural Marxism joined hands with postmodernism, but where what he hasn't covered, I'll try to just cite a few names. Okay, and these names, then you would see that these names are essentially all Jews। Okay, so तीन इंटेलेक्चुअल फैशन आया 45 के, रिलेटिविज्म, सोशल कंस्ट्रक्शनिज्म एंड पोस्टमॉडर्निज्म। ओके, सो रिलेटिविज्म में मतलब कि एवरीथिंग इज रिलेटिव, सो देयर इज नो मॉरल वैल्यू, देयर इज नो कल्चरल वैल्यू, देयर इज नो कल्चरल सुपीरियरिटी, एवरी कल्चर इज द सेम। एपिस्टेमिक कुछ वैल्यू नहीं है, मतलब एक कोई फिजिक्स का थ्योरी है वो भी गलत है, एक कोई डॉक्टर्स का मेडिसिन है वो भी गलत है।
कुछ ही
ओके,
नहीं.
हाँ, बिकॉज तुम्हारा नेबर अगर रात को 12 बजे गाना सुन रहा है बहुत चिल्ला चिल्ली करके, एंड यू आर डिस्टर्ब, यू वुड थिंक दैट ओके मे बी हिज कल्चर, बिकॉज ऑल कल्चर्स आर इक्वल, इट इज इन हिज कल्चर टू प्ले लाउड म्यूजिक इन द नाइट, आई कांट डू, maybe I am wrong। if he's beating his wife, it is in his culture। if there's female genital mutilation, it is in his culture। so सबका कल्चर एक है, सबका कल्चर सही है, तुम्हारा को कुछ नहीं बोलना है, you don't know anything, you don't know nothing, Jon Snow। so ultimately the impact of relativism was that confidence was completely undermined। okay, and the guys that were there, Thomas Kuhn, Franz Boas, these guys, the how shall I put it, ये जो रिलेटिविज्म का जो फंडा है, रिलेटिविज्म को लेके जो स्टडीज है, रिलेटिविज्म का जो एक्सपेंशन है, all this moral relativism and cultural relativism and all, these were all initiated by Thomas Kuhn and Franz Boas, two guys Jewish। okay, there was this gentleman by the name of Peter Berger, and there was another gentleman by the name of Thomas Luckman, both of them were Jews। they wrote a book called The Social Construction of Reality। okay, social constructionism is another, I don't know, you call it fad, you call it stupid idea, everything is social construct। so sex becomes social construct, money becomes social construct, everything becomes social construct। okay. Rajiv Malhotra sir has covered about Derrida, Jacques Derrida। Jacques Derrida was a Jew, and Jacques Derrida was the game changer basically। Derrida का main success ये था कि he managed to convince people that language is a prison। okay, so अपना conventional idea was that we use language to understand the way things are in this world।
Correct.
Jacques Derrida is the one that पूरा उल्टा कर दिया उसको, saying that language is a prison which does not allow you to grasp the reality, in fact it is the opposite। because every statement is a narrative and it cannot be appraised as true or false.
Till the time you get the actual concept of it, which where when you only get when you understand the nuance of the language.
Yeah. What he wanted to say, so on and so forth. Okay. And not just there, if you believe, so social construct and narrative, if you believe, here comes the main dhanda, you are deceived by organized groups such as white people who are inherently fascists in nature.
Look at what's happening in Canada में देखिए आप, clear example है.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
कनाडा में आज हो रहा है, ब्रिटेन ने 1980s में, if a black person perceives, that I have been racially attacked by a white person, तो उसी का वही ठीक मान लिया जाएगा. They'll consider that to be, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So any definition of hate crime then becomes चलेगा. Me Too movement में क्या हुआ? Me Too movement में यार, you can just realize 75 years after being mistreated by someone, or I don't know whether you were mistreated in the first place, that I was raped, and बस हो गया कहानी.
उसमें क्या हुआ आप वो देखिए, BLM was the same
BLM,
thing. It was
yes,
hijacked by the Antifa guys.
yeah.
And वो तो extreme far left, मतलब वो they are, उनके measurement नहीं पता, but they are left of the left of the left of the left. वो बोलते हैं ना edge of the universe, left universe के edge पे हैं वो लोग, इतने
Yes.
leftist हैं. So absolutely, you're it's a very prudent example.
So ऐसे करके this became mainstream, people became क्या बोलते हैं उसको, politically correct, jokes मारने में आदमी डरने लग गया, jokes became very stale, things like that. But the names are very important. 1946 में Joshua Rabbi Liebman, then you had Thomas Kuhn, you had Franz Boas, you had Jacques Derrida, you had Adorno, Theodor Adorno, okay, you had Felix Weil, you had Horkheimer, जिसको लेके राजीव सर ने बोला है, you had Herbert Marcuse, all of them were Jews. Okay, so what I'm trying to say, why I went so far behind in 1945 and positive mental attitude ka kitab, blah blah blah, and all of this is that essentially postmodernism has got a signature is a signature Jewish movement. Israeli Jews, not so much. Global diaspora of Jews. Jews mostly in Europe, Jews mostly in United States. Now, this is something which people, whoever's abusing Israel, so you've got a set of writers who are heavily tilted towards the multipolar world, which is to say Russia and China. Anything happens, they'll start abusing Israel. You've got a set of people who are mainstream. They are suddenly not so sure what to do. They are mentally with Israel, but they don't know where to open their mouth, because they are heavily being dominated by the United States Democrat woke Jews. So यहाँ पे I don't know if they know, but they don't want to discuss. But the way things stand, it has now come to such that you've got a global Jew which is not so considerate about Israel's identity or the state of Israel's existence as a nation state. And Benjamin Netanyahu is the only guy who's probably standing, and his ministers and all, between these people and Israel as a reality. अभी आगे क्या होगा देखो, ये तो कुछ देर पहले we were discussing ना that this standalone Jewish billionaires are thinking of stopping their funding to Harvard and all. अगर वो हो जाता है, then you could call it a small victory. The way things happen, of course, these things always have a kind of a life of their own and they kind of muted. But I think that Netanyahu played a massive smart game, utilized this movement. He would try to overturn this entire opinion about the right of Israel's existence, whether Israel should have a conservative government, whether Israel should be more accommodative towards the Palestinians, blah, blah, blah. He's going to turn this entire thing around. Is left going to coming back to answer your question. It's been a long 15, I don't know कितना time लग गया, बहुत time हो गया. Okay,
नहीं नहीं
so
absolutely.
yes, the left has taken a hit in a place they never saw it coming. How they would react was frankly I don't know. Over to you.
See, because you're absolutely right. How they would react is a very, very. Oh, I think something has happened to his network. He'll join back in a minute, guys. Amazing discussion I think we are having here. ये बड़ा देखिए मैं जो अभी हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं. This is about creating an understanding of ideologies. कल जैसे रात को मैंने एक चीज बात करी थी about गाजा
Disconnected.
and
Got
sorry,
disconnected. Sorry, sorry.
no problem. So I was just telling the audience ki what we are talking about is ideology. And kal raat ko when I did my podcast, I don't know Arindam if you had the time to watch it, where I spoke about a very simple thing, and these are questions I asked about the Israeli ground operation. So I'll just take a minute, and I said ki yaar, I hope this whole thing that they're trying to do to go inside Gaza and this and that, I hope it's not part of the Hamas ka plan. क्योंकि ये हमास का प्लान होगा तो you're going into a quagmire then. ठीक है, you may win it. That's a different story altogether. आप जीत जाओ, आप तोड़ ताड़ के you may be able to win it. That's not a problem. But you will face a huge challenge. And it's not going to be a surefire कि आप अंदर गए साफ सूफ करके 2-3 महीने में बाहर आ गए. No, it won't be like that. It'll be a long drawn out affair. दूसरा है कि because of the whole system and setup of this wokeism which has gone into the Israeli military, जो एक एटीट्यूड हमको उनकी मिलिट्री से देखने को मिलता था प्रोफेशनलिज्म का, the 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 on point. They were always on point. I remember there's a commander of the Air Force called Ron Ronan. I don't know if you know this chap. He's a double ace. 67, 73. He shot down some bloody 12, some 8, 9 MiG-21s and a whole lot of other things in a Mirage 3, which are older generation aircraft. He was that good, very, very good chap. Those are the kind of guys that the Israeli military has been built on, right? Those are the legends of 1967 war and stuff like that. तो वहां से अगर आप आज देखिए कि what you're seeing in the Israeli military is girls clicking pictures. There are reels coming out, and so I think that because of this whole leftist culture,
Mhm.
which has seeped into Israeli society knowingly or unknowingly, what is happened is that the operational focus of the military got completely lost. Do they have it today? Have they been able to kick that ideology out in the past 7 days or not? I don't know. That only time will tell. So, how do you connect what you explained to us right now with what you see on the ground with the Israeli military? Sorry for the long question, but I had to put that context so that I was able to explain what I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely fine. I understand. I've come across this kind of a this kind of a, how shall I say, apprehension. See, my personal belief is that a couple of decades of wokeism is not going to fundamentally alter the genetics of these guys. Okay, these guys have been there since 1948 when they decided that enough is enough, and they have been living like that. So
Hmm.
अभी a couple of university guys leading a pride parade in Tel Aviv, or a few girls clicking selfie wearing IDF army fatigues and
May
all,
not be much.
that's
Hmm.
may not be much. Is it going to affect them? They could have affected them in the long run, like what you see today happening in United States. Too many years of not fighting on their own but sending, या तो अफगान को भेज रहा है या तो किसी को भेज रहा है अपने फाइट के लिए. What that is what has happened to the United States could have happened to Israel, and strictly from that point, re-indoctrinating the army, rebaptizing them with fire. This is a good opportunity which they have got, and they should utilize it. As far as Israel getting lost in the swamp is concerned inside Gaza, I'm sure these things they take into account, boss. जाने से पहले. I'm sure the same way Iran might also have calculated कि क्या क्या हो सकता है if suddenly Hamas barges in. I'm sure Israel also has it calculated कि क्या क्या कर सकते हैं, क्या क्या हो सकता है. At this point in time, this is a one chance that Netanyahu has got if he can manage, because these things have a tendency to mutate. These things acquire, once it's a green signal, then these things acquire a life of their own, then they mutate, and the end result might look completely different from what you had thought. Okay, so it's like Taliban turning against Pakistan, or or United States lobotomizing the entire European Union, and then suddenly waking up to see those same Horkheimer and Mercus coming back and teaching their student, and suddenly now they have gone woke. So
Yeah.
it always comes back. So if this thing is kept under control the way Israel has planned, then there is a fair chance that this one stone is going to kill a couple of birds. Okay, this spice route corridor, this India Middle East corridor, is probably going to get sorted out at the end of this, and in
Yeah,
a
yeah.
good way. In a good way.
I have a
So,
firm belief in that, what you're saying.
huh,
Because आप अगर देखो जो
yeah,
मिडल ईस्ट एक आइडियोलॉजी के पीछे छुपा हुआ था इतने टाइम तक. What was that ideology? Was the Islamist ideology कि भाई we are different, we can't stay with anybody else, let us be here and let us run our own show, sort of a thing. And that was propagated and that was supported by the left, right? I mean, Saudi Arabia में जो चॉप चॉप स्क्वायर में होता था ये वो and all that stuff, उसके बारे में कोई लेफ्ट में कोई नहीं लिखता था.
no, no, no,
अगर आज
never.
गूगल भी करिए आपको एक आधा आर्टिकल दिखेगा, कोई एक फोटोग्राफ होगी, समथिंग, दैट्स इट. अगर
Yeah.
आप यहाँ पर एक थप्पड़ स्क्वायर लगा दो ना इंडिया में अभी, कोई गलत करेगा उसको बस एक थप्पड़ मारेंगे हम, बस ह्यूमन राइट्स ये वो सारे यहाँ पर खड़े होंगे.
सब वहां पे पूरा 24 घंटा बैठ जाएंगे. They'll
ठीक है,
converge
सो
there.
दिस रीजन इज was protected by the left. So my next question to you is, has the left realized you can't do this anymore because of the brutality that they saw? क्योंकि ISIS ने भी brutality करी थी, let's face that, ऐसी ही करी थी, but उसके videos नहीं आते थे, one video in 3 months something. This was a overpowering charade of information that came out. So how do you think that has impacted the structure and the standing of the West? See,
There-
your way of looking at it is a little different. I am looking at it from the events and how they actually react into this. We had this conversation offline in the morning. So why don't you kind of lay your case out? Let's see how close both of us are in this particular
okay.
thing.
Okay. As far as the structure, the way the left has been structured, the way there's this whatever they have, the kind of a mix that has gone on in since 1945 and all, they, if you're looking at guilt, feeling of guilt, if you're looking at remorse, zero, nothing is going to be there.
Hmm.
Okay, why they have not managed to keep this contained? The way they've contained the ISIS wala beheading wala videos, the way they have kept contained Saddam Hussein gassing the Kurds, the way they have contained Turkey killing Kurds, Turkish army killing Kurdish people, the way they have contained everything, almost all the sectarian violence, the way they have contained Pakistanis killing Ahmadiyas and Christians, and kidnapping girls and converting them and getting them, or murdering them or raping them or getting married to them, whatever. They have not managed to do that primarily because of Twitter. And Twitter has been the game changer since Elon Musk has taken over. ये अगर वो
चलो,
पराग अगर बोलो
हाँ,
बोलो
सब साथ में बोलेंगे, इलॉन मस्क की जय.
जय. Okay, ये अगर वो पराग अग्रवाल वाला ट्विटर होता तो किसी को पता ही नहीं चलता
Absolutely.
कि किसने हमास में
That's
क्या
a
किया नहीं किया, वो इजराइल वाला आ जाता. There is another point which again I find interesting, which is that the this wokeism has come to hit Israel, and it has come to, and Benjamin Netanyahu has responded in such a manner. This has taken everybody by surprise. Okay. Now, in a strange turn of events, you would see Benjamin Netanyahu as the only guy today among the Western allies. So you think France, you think Germany, England, America, even South Korea, Japan, everybody, every country has been wokified. Netanyahu is the only Western country who's standing today and who's saying to hell with you all. And that makes him ideologically closer to a Vladimir Putin or a Viktor Orban or a Polish prime minister. I keep forgetting his name. So, Israeli Jew,
Mm, can't remember. Please.
हाँ ठीक है तो पोलिश प्राइम मिनिस्टर बोले कि कम
Uh,
कंफ्यूजिंग नहीं था
Duda.
हाँ,
Duda. नहीं.
ना डूडा
नहीं.
ना डूडा ना
उससे
अंद्रे
पहले
डूडा
वाला.
नहीं नहीं
उससे
नहीं
पहले
अभी
वाला.
जो
उससे पहले वाला.
अभी जो है ही इज द प्राइम मिनिस्टर समथिंग समथिंग अभी गूगल सर्च कर लेगा सो दीज गाइज आर सेइंग इनफ दे आर सेइंग यू नो नो शिट शॉलॉक नो इमिग्रेशन
Hmm.
कुछ नहीं चलेगा ओके नो वोकरी यहाँ पे वोकरी नहीं चलेगा सेम फॉर विक्टर ऑर्बन सेम फॉर व्लादिमीर पुतिन हु इज प्रोबब्ली हाफ communist and half Russian Orthodox, and you have an Israeli Jew who's standing here who finds more ideological ground with these people vis-a-vis his compatriots in Allied West who have completely occupied. This is another shock which is now come, and this guy is standing and he's not holding back; he's giving it good. So this has come as another shock to the leftist ecosystem. How they are going to react, how they are going to probably again, you know, scatter away and again reorganize themselves, come up with some other devilish plan. I don't know. वो तो पता चलेगा तब. But yeah, they have been hit. Are they feeling bad about it? Do they have that kind of a remorse? No. To answer your
No.
question. Yeah,
They
no.
will double down, if I may.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
If
yeah.
I know the neocons and the lefties, they'll double down
Oh
on the
yes.
same thing.
Yeah.
तो आज आपने मैथ्यूस मोरावेकी,
Yeah. Matthews.
thank you, Sid Fredrickson, thank you so much for that answer. So we've kind of established that, and I now want to see how the left will kind of reduce itself. So let's spend in the next about 5-8 minutes studying that before we get into the lovely questions that about 1600 people that are watching us have given us. We will सबके सवाल जवाब, क्योंकि ये थोड़ा सा देखिए what subject we are discussing is not event related. It's a larger global game which is being played, and this is something, guys, on my channel I've been talking about कि देखिए ये जो ग्लोबल डीप स्टेट है, एक चीज इसके बारे में बात करते थे, मैंने ये तो बोला हुआ है कि they've got a crack snap dab right in the middle of it.
Yeah.
क्योंकि कई लोगों को समझ में आ गया है कि यार ये जो डीप स्टेट हमने ये लेफ्टीज को दे रखा था, these guys are not able to handle it. ये तो पता नहीं क्या कर रहे हैं यार. They are not making money. They want influence. They want ये वो this that सब कुछ चाहिए उनको. And guys, mind you, sorry, my voice is a bit low. थोड़ा सा I've got a bit of a throat infection, so um, they've realized this कि यार ये पैसे नहीं बनते ऐसे, ये तो डब्बे में डालेंगे सबको. So that's what I'm saying कि इन लोगों को अभी समझ में आ गया है यार, ये तेरा let's थोड़ा सा peel off this और ये लेफ्टीज को निकालो बाहर. तो इजराइल का एक एक है. दूसरा आई वांट टू आस्क यू इज अबाउट व्हेन यू सी द ग्लोबल मीडिया, राइट, जिस तरह से उनका एक, आई वोंट से खात्मा, बट इनका एक जो कपड़े उतरे हैं, इन नो सिंपल वर्ड्स, दैट इज अ बिग वेपन दैट द लेफ्ट हैड
Hmm.
चलाने के लिए. कहीं पे भी आप
Hmm.
कुछ करो, हंगर इंडेक्स, ये इंडेक्स, आज तो भाई साहब, बाय द वे, यू एंड आई आर हंग्री पीपल. हाँ, हमारे पास
Yeah.
खाने को तो है नहीं. ये इतने सारे जो
115
पंद्रह
ना
सोलह सौ लोग देख रहे हैं, वो बेचारों किसी के पास खाने को नहीं है.
सब
You know,
भूखे हैं हाँ.
we're all on YouTube basically asking the world, भाई थोड़ा खाना दे दो हमको. इतनी तो हालत खराब है हमारी. ठीक है, तो
हाँ,
अभी डेमोक्रेसी भी है नहीं, हम लोग बोल तो सकते नहीं. If I want to openly say, साहब मोदी साहब has made a mistake, I will get arrested. और मैं बोल रहा हूँ मोदी साहब has made a mistake. Let me see, कोई आया? पता नहीं,
आ
अभी तक तो
जाएगा
कोई नहीं आया.
पॉडकास्ट
थोड़ी
खत्म
देर में
होते
आता
होते
है,
आ
चलो ठीक है, कोई आ जाएगा,
जाएगा
कोई बात, चलो ठीक है, वही मान लेते हैं.
हाँ.
So that media's hold of the narrative, उसके बारे में क्या बोलेंगे आप? And how do you think Elon Musk has changed this whole game?
Yeah, Musk has been a maverick actually. Musk has been that, वो क्या बोलते हैं ना उसको, you come in with a sledgehammer and you break everything. This guy has done that. इसका पहले वाला impression जो था, it was not very good, because I had this one question to which I still haven't found an answer to, is that where does this guy gets his money from? One after the other programs of his have been a disaster. They are not money making unit. फिर भी इसके पास इतना पैसा कहाँ से आता है इन्वेस्ट करने के लिए? But ठीक है, we'll hold on to that question till we find substantial answers to that. But yeah, on the face of it, this guy has come and this guy has through Twitter, this guy has smashed it, literally smashed it, because FB तो अभी गया, FB में तो शैडो बैन चलता ही रहता है. I mean, किसी और
I
आजकल
am
तो शैडो,
I am
oh
shadow
yeah,
banned
yeah,
because
I am
I refuse to give my gender there.
okay.
I don't know, पता नहीं क्या क्या लिखा हुआ वहां पर यार, मेरे को तो समझ नहीं आया, तो मैं बोला यार छोड़ो यार, बंद करो उसको.
Okay, I am shadow banned ever since my time. New Indian ka article started gaining tractions. I have been shadow. First it was 30 days, 45 days, 50 days, 20 days. उसके बाद I opened my Facebook account. Phone पे जाता हूँ. There's this red blob with a minus mark over there, and I would forever be pushed down to the bottom of the feed. So if I have, let's say, 2,000 friends, only 20 people would see my updates. Okay, so forget about geopolitical posts, forget about crass memes and jokes and all. आज मैंने सबको शारुद शुभेच्छा बोला. By the way, शारुद शुभेच्छा to everyone. It's the first day of Navratri. Okay, आज मैंने Facebook में शारुद शुभेच्छा का एक अच्छा सा पिक्चर पोस्ट किया. It is what reached about 15 to 20 people. So this is the kind of shadow ban that's happening for no rhyme or reason. Now, a huge chunk of the world has moved to VK and all. The Russian-speaking people have moved out to VK. That leaves Twitter with a kind of an advantage, which is unprecedented in the English-speaking world today. Reach पे कोई वो नहीं है. There is no curtailing your reach. There are people who were scared to open their mouth. Now they are going खुलेआम. There were companies that were shadow banned, which I've heard from RP Tiku Singh, who's the editor-in-chief of the New Indian. These bans have been lifted and ज़्यादा कुछ करने का भी नहीं पड़ा. All they had to do was write a couple of times to Elon Musk, and they gradually got things sorted. So this one platform has sort of been a game changer, like the same way Telegram has been a game changer when it comes to the Russian narrative, when it comes to their Ukraine war. Twitter has been a game changer so far as this Israel and Hamas latest conflict is concerned. Does that concern the mainstream media? It definitely does. It definitely does. All this while, you had a BBC and you had a CNN and Fox and everybody, you had those people doing whatever they wanted to, with the idea that you have a Twitter that is going to, act as a mouthpiece and that is going to increase their reach. They are not anymore.
Yeah.
And they're not anymore, not for proper reason. ऐसा नहीं कि वो लोग reach कम हो गया. They are not sure anymore because they see a sudden spurt of conservative people who are more down to earth, people who don't shout, people who have got थोड़ा सा material in their भेजा, crowding this place, crowding Twitterverse, and because they make more sense, quite naturally, obviously, they're commanding more amount of followership. It's just by allowing a set of people who are sensible, who can think of their own, for their own, it's just by letting loose these few people, you have sort of pushed back the confidence level of a CNN or a BBC. Abhi, imagine if this is handled, as I keep saying, if this is handled properly by Netanyahu, where he kinds of takes the fight back of the woke lobby back into United States, how is this going to impact? This should have a big impact in the near future.
Indeed. And last question, actually, I should have opened with this, but last but not the least, I want to now put out a request to everybody, and with my folded hands, please don't call these leftists left librandus, right? Because I'll tell you why. Let me explain my case, and Arindam, you're free to critique, and everybody who's sitting here, please critique me for this. My point is, liberals are the ones who accept ideologies and they will want to listen and learn, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So if we are having a conversation and people are sitting with us and having a conversation, trying to learn about why this is, We are the liberals, right? It is not the lefties who are the liberals. Now, liberal does not mean that you are free, because lefts are not free. If you try and talk sense to a left guy, they'll probably stand screaming on the middle of the road because they would not want to your voice to hear hit the ears.
Hmm.
So that is not liberal. Lefties are lefties are lefties are lefties, and there's nothing more than that. I would call them the true right, the true intolerant right. अब वो लेफ्ट में फंस गए हैं बेचारे, हम राइट में फंस गए हैं, हम एक्चुअली लेफ्ट हैं, सेंटर में हैं। अब ये लेके बैठे हैं हमारी जगह, हम उनकी जगह लेके बैठे हैं, अब समझ नहीं आता हो क्या रहा है यहाँ पर, बिकॉज वी फॉर श्योर आर नॉट राइट विंग पीपल. अगर इंडिया में द कंट्रोल वाज ऑफ अ राइट विंग system,
फिर तो
you know
बहुत
what
कुछ
would
होगा.
have been happening, right? Danda shanda, all that stuff would have been out. That is not the case. We are very centrist in India. भारत में हमारी एक जो पुरानी तहजीब है is a very centrist तहजीब, very centrist learning, very centrist behavior. काम यार ठंडा रखो, कोई बात नहीं, it's okay. That's a very centrist sort of a thinking. That's not either this way or that way. What do you have to say?
Yeah. This the political spectrum, ideological spectrum has been pushed a little bit towards the right. तो इतना right पे चला गया है that the center वाला space has now been taken over by the left, standard left, and the left वाला space has been taken over by the extreme left. और जो actual centrist था और है, people like you and me, we have been pushed to the right to some extent, to the right, so that, I mean, if you try to talk neutrally, people will call you, "Hey, ये तो भक्त है." So that entire bloody spectrum has been pushed a little bit towards the right. जो centrist था वो right चला गया, जो right था वो far right चला गया, और इधर पे जो left था वो अभी center में आके बैठ गया. That is where this liberal name comes in, and you are very right. Classical sense में liberal वो होता है, a guy who's open to ideas. Lefts are anything but open to ideas. Yeah. And ये बात भी है ना कि there is an industrial left and there is a cultural left. Industrial left, the kind of left that we grew up with, भाई इससे कहीं ज्यादा अच्छा था यार. Okay, you had those serious uncles and all, white shirt, एकदम मोटा मोटा चश्मा. These guys used to read, these guys used to know. Okay, ठीक है, थोड़ा सा मार्क्स को लेके बोलेंगे, थोड़ा सा चेक को लेके बोलेंगे, आपको लगेगा सेंस है, आपको नहीं लगेगा सेंस है, बट एटलीस्ट दिस गाइज न्यू देयर स्टफ. पढ़ाई लिखाई करता था. आजकल का जो लेफ्टिस्ट है, दिस कल्चर मार्क्सिस्ट, तो पढ़ाई लिखाई भी नहीं करते, एंड दे रीड ऑल दिस अडोर्नो एंड ऑल द ऑथोरिटेरियन व्हाइट मैन. एवरी मैन व्हाइट मैन इज एन इंसिपिएंट फैशिस्ट एंड दे शुड हैंग देमसेल्व्स एंड दे शुड डाई. ये तो है अपना कल्चरल मार्क्सिज्म एंड पोस्ट मॉडर्निज्म. ये पढ़ के ये लोग क्या बोलेंगे, अब गाली निकलेगा. एनीवे, questions.
But I must say, there is a, by the way, Arin, I'm sorry I didn't read your question, yeah, but this was a thought in my mind. So मैंने आपसे last question पूछा, somebody put a super chat and put that question across. My apologies. That's something which is there. And Pranay Kumar, I'm going to give you the the privilege of actually putting out the first question before I ask anybody to write. He says you are liberals, they are librandus. That's the difference. I recede my case. I recede my argument, sir. Thank you so much. माफी चाहता हूं मैं. See, this is what I'm saying. We are ready to listen to an alternative.
Yeah.
Now you say that to a wokist liberalist that no, you're not. And guys, by the way, let me throw the floor open to a question to you guys. Do you know what is actually a woke? What is the meaning of woke? 90% of the 95, 99% of the people will not know what is this connected with you. The meaning, anybody in the audience would like to take a shot at this? What is woke? So anyways, by the time I get some answers here, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, spread the word. We are approaching 85,000. So thank you so much for all of you joining in. You can contribute towards the Dev Talks by the QR code above, or you can become members or sending us super stickers or super chats. Thank you so much till now. Acha ji,
आदि,
so woke,
getting into the big league. आदि, congratulations. मैं तो करने वाला था, तुम बात कर रहे थे यार. 1 लाख का मुबारक हो पहले से.
thank you. So
Yeah.
woke people, woken up, Adiji. A lot of people are saying woke, gay loving people, woke is entitled. Well, let me give you a little sense. Some of you have kind of hit it correct. The woke is basically during the black times, when the blacks were trying to, in America and stuff like that, were trying to realize who they are. And they started realizing that they were actual human beings, which they were not made to be realized before. They had some rights that they could claim. That was known as woke. He is woken up from his slumber of slavery. That is what actual woke is. So if these guys want to be woke, I say congratulations, come and polish my shoes. That's all. I mean, to be very
Yeah.
honest with you, that's the actual meaning of this word, which people have not
Just
realized.
so. Yeah.
It's an internal sense of awakening where you've understood that, bhai, I've been oppressed. Now I need to fight against it. So that is the thing. Right, let's get into your Sawal Jawab, and let's see what you guys also are asking us. Ashok Bhatti Saab, thank you so much. He says peace lovers are against minority LGBT women. How come they are favorite of the left?
Good question.
Damn.
No, no, it's see, these are all political. How shall I put it? Priorities.
Uh,
Okay. Huh. Because whenever you've had industrial left fighting, getting close to Islamism, there's always been a fallout. There's always been a fight. If you look at Iran, it was there. If you look at Pakistan, even Pakistan had a very chota mota, very vibrant kind of a left movement, which was kicked out, and they like kind of took shelter in the United Kingdom, in England. If you look at Russia, Imperial Russia, Soviet Union, and what they did with the Central Asian republics, which were majorly Islamic. Again, if you look at China, which is a hardcore, at least in their party sense, they're a hardcore communist party with a capitalist sense of view of business and all. What they are doing with people who are religiously very rigid, people like the Uyghurs and all, is again another example. It is only the cultural Marxists, it is only the woke, again coming back to not the black, people awakening woke, the modern day wokes who think that they have woken up to what I don't know, from where I don't know. The modern day progressive wokes find a lot of reasons to suck up to the Islamists, because of the fact that these movements are mainstream movements in United States and in Europe, used to be in Europe, nowadays not so much, like in here. And Islam and is a Muslim moving into a United States or a Europe always had this novelty factor. He was always a minority, and by their nature, the woke movement is always for minority. अच्छा LGBTQ बहुत minority है, let's fight for their rights. अच्छा black people in, let's say, in Germany, minority है, let's fight for them. Muslim people coming into France, minority है, let's fight for them. That's how it started. Next question could be, do they realize the mistake? Yes, they could very well realize that they have made a mistake, but it's too late for them,
it's
because
also
this
vote
is not a,
banks, right?
for political level, it's vote bank. I'm talking about the general, the social activists and the social justice warriors and all.
Yeah, those guys
But
are too stoned to think here. Come on. I mean,
yeah, yeah. And there is another thing, Adi. There's another thing. They have got this. Uh, they have been, कि क्या बोले उसको, कैसे बोले, उसके अंदर में they have been, there's been so much of historical guilt put inside of them by all this relativism movement and all.
yeah,
वो
I
आके
think we
किसी को
discussed.
रेप भी, या किसी को रेप भी करके जाए, तो they won't see the light of the day.
I
They
mean,
won't
today morning,
understand.
I was watching a video where this girl was arguing, this Canadian Arab girl or Canadian, whatever, I don't know where she was
Yeah,
from. She was arguing and she said, they've not done any of this stuff because this is against Islam. And this guy said, are you trying to deny what they themselves are saying that we've done? No, she
fine.
said, yeah, yeah, they've not done it. This is some imposter. Oh, yaar,
Wait,
at least accept it. You don't want to condemn it. you find it's damn good that they've done this. Fine, but at least accept that this has happened, which
Yeah.
they don't want to.
Yeah.
It's amazing. RNG, I'm going to take up your question, but thank you so much for the contribution. He says, Adi, after observing the left for quite some time, I feel like so called left is actually right and vice versa. I cannot pinpoint the switch, but it's a gut feeling. What do you think? My point to you, buddy, your gut is telling you the right thing. Keep thinking in this direction.
There
Fantastic.
is one. There's something called the क्या बोलते हैं उसको? Political horseshoe, where if you're extreme left and if you're extreme right, you're shaped with the because political spectrum is said that it's shaped like a horseshoe. So you are extreme left, you're extreme right, you're extremely close to each other. So what you're saying makes sense that way.
Makes
Think
a
of
lot
the
of sense.
spectrum as a horseshoe. Yeah.
Fantastic. Arindam, damn good answer. Congratulations. Indie Gal, thank you so much. I own an IT startup and Musk is an inspiration for me. Tesla, Hyperloop, SpaceX, many more things are his giving to humanity.
Yeah, yeah. That guy is a
There's
maverick.
also,
No questions there. That guy is a maverick.
God damn it, Adi. First read my question and then answer it. 200 रुपए का खर्चा करा दिया यार. मेरे को नंबर भेज दे, मैं वापस भेज देता हूँ देखो. Just kidding. Thank you,
What
man.
was the
Thank you so much.
question?
वही वाला, the one that I asked you before.
अच्छा अच्छा
He was a little pissed off यार. मेरा सवाल ऐसे ही ले लिया तुमने. So,
अच्छा अच्छा.
average middle class gamer, thank you so much. He says, ask Adi, the image of right wing has also changed with new generation entering it. Thanks a ton for explaining the definitions of liberal. मैं तो बोल बोल कर थक गया.
अच्छा, यहाँ पे एक चीज है यार, ये थोड़ा क्लियर करने दे. राइट विंग और लेफ्ट विंग इज बेसिकली एज फार एज द फाइनेंशियल आइडियोलॉजी इज कंसर्न. अपना
Your
यहाँ
hand is
पे
touching the mic. Your hand is touching
oh,
the
so,
mic.
yeah. As far as the financial aspect is concerned, there's this right wing and left wing when it comes to ownership and when it comes to state controlling things like that. When it comes to अपना ये nationalistic वाला ideology या global ideology and all, वहाँ पे लेकिन there is either you are a nationalistic guy, you're a conservative nationalist. वहाँ पे right wing left wing का उतना ज़्यादा apply मत किया करो. या तो you are a conservative guy who's hung up with the idea of nation state, who's a nationalist, or you're a globalist. Okay. अब nationalist में भी left wing हो सकता है. Bhagat Singh was a nationalist left wing guy.
Yeah.
Vietnam has been hardcore nationalist and left wing. So nationalist में भी left wing हो सकता है. तो ये
But those
थोड़ा
are
सा अपना
actual left wingers.
those are yeah. अभी देखो, आप मेरे सामने आ गए तो मुझे तो पता नहीं चलेगा ना कि आप एक्चुअल हो या वर्चुअल हो. So I'm saying that there could be a left wing hiding in a nationalist strain as well. So when it comes to the political ideological spectrum, you have nationalist ideology, you have globalist ideology. When it comes to the financial spectrum, then you have a left wing and a right wing. So I guess this clarifies a little bit. Over to you, Adi.
It does quite a bit actually. Praveen ji, thank you so much for your contribution. Indie Gal, once again, thank you so much. Why am I seeing so many Muslims supporting Hamas without having a sliver of understanding about the issue? Today's woke is सुबह उठो और कुछ भी बोलने लग जाओ.
Yeah, actually.
What does one? I mean, see, if
Adi
I may
bole.
take a shot at it, yeah.
Yeah,
See, I'll
please,
tell you
please.
the and without trying to actually cross over any line or anything like that. One thing one must understand is that the whole ideology that has been drilled into a particular religion is of conformity. ठीक है, is of not questioning what is happening around, not questioning this thing, and it's about fellowship rather than leadership, right? So when it is like that, I mean, if you look at our ideology, what are we taught? Lead the way, become a society leader, become a leader in whatever you do, and this and that. So these are two separate ways of thinking, which give you a faction that me and Arindam today are having a very nice conversation. But there'll be certain things I don't agree with him, and there'll be certain things he doesn't agree with me. But that does not push us to a point where we kind of try to kill each other, because there is a certain amount of liberalism amongst us. That's all I wanted to say. Anything you'd like to add as a masala on top?
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, she has added enough masala. बहुत अच्छा बोला है. Today's work सुबह उठो और कुछ भी बोलने लग जाओ. That's a very good
Yeah.
observation about work.
Anoni Mouse, Anoni Mouse, Anoni Mouse. Thank you so much, Mr. Mouse. If the cultural relativism dedicated accepting others as equal and is just as good, why is the West dictating the rest of the world on morality? Fantastic
Oh,
question.
this needs another podcast.
I've done a podcast on this. That is morality the new colonialism?
Okay, so you must watch that. बट एक चीज यहाँ पे है, एज फार एज कल्चरल रिलेटिविज्म इज कंसर्न, देखो कल्चरल रिलेटिविज्म तो ये है कि ऑल कल्चर्स आर इक्वल. नाउ ऑल कल्चर्स आर इक्वल came with an agenda of putting the white culture, the white European culture down. Okay. Now there is a school of authors, there is a school of thought that says that the kind of torture a certain section of people suffered in the hand of white Christians, this was their weaponization. Relativism and postmodernism and constructionism was their weaponization to bring down the European civilization at large on the whole, which is what has happened. So, जहां तक cultural relativism का सवाल है, it said all cultures were equal with the agenda that their main idea is to bring the white people down. अगर हर cultural equal रहता, if they would have practiced the same, people who have written the book, all these theorists and all would have practiced the same in real life, they wouldn't have attempted to bring the white people down, the common white people of Europe and America down, which they have done. So cultural relativism ka face of it could say all cultures are equal, but the end result of it was that it left the common white man absolutely confused about the state of things. That is what they have attained. Now, when you talk about why is the West going on dictating other people what to do and what not to do, the mistake that we are making here is that when we talk about West, we are talking about the Western governments. We are not talking about ordinary Western people.
Hmm,
Ordinary
hmm.
Western people, boss, nobody tells you what to do. They don't know themselves, most of the people, which day of the week it is. आपको क्या बोलेंगे? With due respect, I mean, this is not supposed to be an insult. I'm saying in good humor. यार आम जनता हर जगह पे एक होता है. With the same way, an average guy from Bhopal or Indore would be, it's the same way an average guy from New Jersey or Toronto would be. So the thing is, when the white people, when the white West is telling you what to do, please understand that it's their government. And it is their government which is telling you what to do and what not to do. The government which is controlled largely again by this postmodernist and woke people. So what they started back in 1945-46 in Europe, trying to control the common people, they have now moved on to a level where they have taken over controls of large sections of the government, and now they're like they did back in 1945, telling others what to do. They are doing the same thing again today
Yeah,
to you, to me, to Israel, to everyone. I hope that answered the question.
absolutely. Yeah, it does. It does. Absolutely correct. Indigal, once more, thank you so much. She says, let's admit it, you can battle an ideology, not lunacy. If I may disagree with that to a certain extent, you can battle an ideology, but you can never kill it.
Hmm.
It's very difficult. Look what they did with the great German ideology of the 1930s. I don't want to say that name.
Hmm.
Um, of the 1930s, you battled it, you destroyed it, exactly what the Israelis are trying to do with Hamas. But that ideology still is creeping out in Ukraine, in Canada, and many other places in the world. So, yeah. Samarjeet Dey, thank you so much for your contribution. He says, simple question, whose wings are most suitable for human beings? Left, right, or center? Left, center, or liberals?
A realist, a realist being.
Absolutely. Thanks for not saying chicken. No, but
You
I
have
think I
to.
agree with you. A realism is, I think, is something that needs to be uh, understood a lot more.
Yeah, something that needs to be brought in mainstream. You need
Yeah,
to mainstream realism, and I
ab-
say cynical realism. You know, Don't take anything on your on its face value. Always do your own research. Always put in your own, I mean, it doesn't mean that you have to come upright and say that I disagree with you. आप मुंडी
Yeah,
हिलाते रहो, but you do your background check. And this has to be a genetic habit. That's realism, and that's the only wing that is suitable for us, especially in the times that we are living in.
true. Duplicate parody. Thank you so much. What social change narrative is Islam left now?
And I'm not sure I got that. Is left Islam now? Or
If I mean, if does the left support Islamic radicals? That yes, we know it does. But let me tell you this: it's another use of Islamic radicals. If these guys think that oh they're best friends, trust you me, the first guys that the left will take out are these the same people.
vice versa. The first guys that Islam will take out are these people.
Yeah,
I mean, they make no bones about it. They have an issue with the LGBT guys. They don't like your pride parents and all. They are hardcore conservative people. An Islamist is a hardcore conservative guy. He understands his religion, and there is very little scope of argument. There is extremely low scope of disagreement there. He disagrees with most things that you hold dear, and he doesn't make any bones about it. So at least he is being honest, boss. Where the lefts are not, the one thing that I always give to a Taliban, or the one thing that I always give to these people is, बस they are honest. जो है वो बोल देता है कि हमको ये करना है, हमको ये पसंद है, हमको ये नहीं पसंद है. Gives you a space to plan. The lefts are not honest people. It's very difficult to trust them.
the
So there's a
turncoats. Yeah.
difference there. Yeah, big time.
Ravi Malhotra ji, thank you so much. He says excellent thoughts on books on guilt justification. So that comment is for you. Thank you for those comments.
Thank you.
This is a funny one. Dipankar says, I never understand why they call themselves as woke while they are the ones who are in Kumbhkarn ka neend.
मेरे बाप रे मत बोलो.
ठीक है, and
They
we were
are
talking
the
about,
ones. They are the ones that break down the social construct. Yeah? Down with Brahminical patriarchy, and now Netanyahu ke jaisa Israeli Jews and Donald Trump, and they're going to break everyone down.
so we were talking about the hunger index. Here are the comments of a simple Bharatiya audience. आर के हिसाब से इन लोगों से कोई आशा रखना मूर्खता है, ये सिद्ध हो चुका है. ठीक है. He says that number one. Then he says Gumnami Baba says using YouTube and at Indian Railways Wi-Fi
Wow.
tells you a
Arey
lot.
wow. That's great. Yeah.
Giving Afghanistan some tons of wheat. ठीक है जी. Yes, butter chicken खा के भी hungry हैं.
Yeah.
And Kunal says tweeting with an iPhone for
Quitting
food.
for- yeah.
So that tells you
Yeah,
that
yeah, we are hungry people.
we are very hungry. What to do?
We are very hungry people.
Okay. Could recent spate of killings in India's enemy have been timed to serve as a deterrence to those who are targeting upcoming elections? Touchy subject.
Adi, you or
I don't know who's doing that. I just wanted to say, continue. That's all.
कुछ भी होता. If it is great,
If
आगे
it
नहीं
isn't,
जाएंगे.
whoever's doing it,
Whoever's doing
Jai
it,
Hind.
you're doing a great job,
Fantastic.
boss.
Continue.
करते रहो.
Ren Skywalker says, Adi sir, do you think the same thing is about to happen in Bharat in 20 years later? Are we Sanatanis going to get extinct?
Who's gonna take it? You, Adi?
Please, open to you.
Okay. See, anything can happen. Again, being a realist, anything can happen. This is a major wave of a movement which is going everywhere. If I'm very critical, without being critical of any person, any government, anyone, the kind of will that Vladimir Putin has shown, or the kind of craftiness that Xi Jinping has shown in blocking and stemming this wokeism from getting inside their country, that is something worth emulating. India has been a soft state traditionally. there's been a very fuddled up idea about what is an Indian identity. I think we've discussed this before in this podcast itself. Okay, so the only way out is to crystallize an Indic identity and make it so strong that कोई भी woke का हवा आया कुछ भी आया wave आया आपको हिला नहीं पाएंगे. For that, I don't know what needs to be done at the government level. There are hazard things that needs to be done at the government level, but at the grassroots level, the least that you guys can do is organize. You need platforms, you need physical organizations, you need meeting people, you need getting to know each other, you need to understand common grounds, you need extensive physical networking, not virtual networking, in order to build up a kind of a sense of brotherhood, in order to build up a kind of a sense of community, so that when this look at Israel, I know it's a chota desh and it's very easy for people to stay networked there and things like that, but one good example is Israel. We did have a lot of talk about identity when me and Arshia and Adi, we had that chat. No? What is being a Russian all about? So same way, understand what is being an Indian all about. Otherwise, what you are saying, anything could happen. That's all I can say.
Nationalism and unity, buddy. Keep ourselves together. Nothing will be able to break. Duplicate parody. Once again, thank you. He says, Islam has taken over the left, communists.
Achha.
Ravi Malhotra ji, once again, thank you. He says, we are hungry because we asked for food through mobiles.
Okay, Islam has taken over left or communist? No.
I think the
not
other
as
way
of
around.
now. Yeah, not as of now. No, they're holding their grounds, boss, Adi. They're holding the see, आज के दिन में these two guys would fundamentally they are not met for each other. They are just sticking around with each other. Why? Because they've got a common agenda. Both of them want access and control. Somebody wants access and control in a medieval sense of way. Somebody wants access and control in the postmodern sense of way. Eventually, there's going to come a time when these two guys clash with each other, and there's no love lost between these two. Abhi tak, what they're doing is they're just tolerating each other. That's all. Nobody has taken over anyone, because at the end of the day, ये आपको समझना चाहिए कि ये जो woke को चला रहा है वो तो woke अपने आप तो खुद चल नहीं रहा है. Somebody is guiding them, somebody is handling them. These guys are super intelligent guys. So इतना आसानी से they're not going to sell themselves to something which like Islamism or something like that. They would try to have their last say.
Last couple of them. We'll take another 5 minutes of yours. Jakpreet Batraji says, Ariel Sharon was the woke. He squandered away all advantage that Israel he thought he had. That giving Gaza Strip would buy peace, and Israel is paying a big price for that mistake.
Yes, Mr. Batra. Right.
So, whoever says India's the only one that has made such mistakes of giving back Haji Pir and this and that, no. There are enough examples in this world,
Yeah.
and some of the best ones.
Yes. He's absolutely right.
Amay, nice to see you, man. After a while, he says America has become an institution in the world which thinks it can conjure up a few people of other countries and start using stupid ideas to influence the world. This experiment won't last.
Adi, you had something to say about ना सुबह जब हम लोग बात कर रहे थे. If you
Take a shot.
if you want, if you want, some interesting points you made.
See, the influence is as per se is just interest. Yeah, at the end of it, there's no influence, there's no nothing. It's just interest. And जब तक वो आपसे निकाल सकते हैं तो वो कुछ भी डालेंगे आपको मैनिपुलेट करने के लिए. बाकी सब it's all हवा at the end of it. I mean, there's nothing more, nothing less to it.
Actually, United States का धंधा यही है since 1960s when this Pax America 60 से थोड़ा पहले Pax Americana का जो टाइम आया था when you had all this Kinan and all these guys, ये न्यूलैंड का भी जो father in law को था कागान something Kagan, all these guys.
Egan,
their idea was very simple. United States had like what 3% or 4% of the world's population and about 30% or 40% of the world's wealth. Statistically, itna matlab ye nahi hai, but you can find out. Their idea was to keep that. Now, how do you keep that? You keep that by keeping control of the rest of the world. How do you
Yeah.
maintain control over the rest of the world? Anything goes. So if you can control countries like with stupid people and stupid ideas, please go ahead and do that. If you can control countries by splitting them into two half and getting them these two to wage wars between them, do
Samiro?
that. If you किसी को कुछ भी करो, keep that control. Okay, experiment won't last. You are right, the experiment won't last. The big upset is this global south coming up. The big upset was when Putin 2008 May suddenly he attacked Georgia and he said, I'm back, guys, I'm back in the game. When China suddenly, United States woke up to the fact that, oh my God, this has become a manufacturing giant and all our industry has been shipped out and we don't have anything left here. Now their stupidity has sort of made the third world, has shaped up the third world in such a way that they won't be able to sustain it. So now, in order to stay relevant, they are going to, in this is probably the final stage, they are going to prop up छोटा मोटा deterrence like a North Korea. North Korea को लेके इतना जो हुआ चलता है, North Korea है क्या? असल में North Korea कुछ खास नहीं है. यमन को लेके इतना दिन चला, यमन क्या है? ईरान के ऊपर चलता है, ईरान के बेस पे. So they are going to prop up these chota mota spots, hot spots all around the world, like this Hamas, like Yemen, like North Korea, to remain relevant in the state of affairs, to keep the world boiling. ये Taiwan, you know, वैसे China is scared to fight a frontal war. नहीं तो अगर ये रशिया हो तो कब का ताइवान ले लिया होता, जो तो क्राइमिया में किया उसने. So Taiwan is also on its own not a big deal, but United States is purposely creating all this chota mota, points, all these flashpoints all around the world just in order to stay relevant. Right now, where you would always give them a reason to get their navy control the water in the name of international maritime safety and security. Okay, and maritime safety and security is the main movers and traders of the game. That's what they're trying to do. जहाँ पे जहाँ होता है वो भी करेगा, जहाँ पे आइडियाज देके लोगों को इन्फ्लुएंस करना पड़ेगा, कर सकते हैं वो करेंगे, जहाँ पे लड़ाई पिटी करना है वो करेंगे.
Sachin, thank you so much for the last comment and your contribution. He says, Sir, these people are publishing any report list ranking by every now and then. From where did they collect the data? No one came to me for a question. Your opinion, please. Lies, damn lies, and statistics. Mark Twain.
Next, exactly. और ये रिपोर्ट्स और निकलेगा ना, as election comes close and closer and closer, you would see more and more hunger index and then पता नहीं क्या safety index,
Peaceful index.
peace index,
Mental peace index.
क्या फ्रीडम टू जर्नलिस्ट इंडेक्स, ऐसा बहुत कुछ आता रहेगा. एंड सब में इंडिया को एकदम पाकिस्तान
Now,
और बांग्लादेश से नीचे कहीं पे कुछ दे देगा इंडिया को. द वन गुड थिंग दैट हैज हैपेंड इज 5 years 10 years पहले भी people used to take this a lot seriously. Now they make fun
Yeah.
of it, Indians. That's the one
Yeah.
good thing. All thanks to you guys.
yeah, well, a lot of people have contributed into India's strength, and I think it's grateful. It's a damn good thing to happen. Arindam Saab, as usual, it's a fantastic thing to talk to you. We've had fun. I think
Thank
we've
you
had
so
a
much.
brilliant 1 hour spent in the afternoon on a Sunday afternoon.
Yes.
Covered a very heavy topic, but very lightly. It's not something that can be spoken this lightly, but I think you've done a brilliant job of putting it across in a very simple fashion where people can actually relate to it from daily happenings around them. So thank you so much. Jai Bharat and Jai Hind.
Jai Hind, thank you for calling me, and wish happy pujas to every one of your viewers. Thank you.
Thank you. Same to you and to everybody. Happy Navratri and upcoming. वो तो मिलते रहेंगे रोज, तो सबकी रोज की एक एक नई नई हम लोग विश करेंगे आज से.
Yes, yes.
हैप्पी फर्स्ट डे ऑफ नवरात्रि. जय हिंद.